All right, it is time to try out some of these rules over on HandNet. Hopefully I can remember everything that I've done. It's been a few days and I've gotten distracted by things. As far as I know, I'm playing some specific Joseki and opening the 3-4 points only. We're going to be focused on reduction versus invasion or doing anything else. I'm going to try to be as simple as we possibly can. On OGS, I think the 12 Qs were quite good. 12Q to 10Q area. I don't remember exactly the ranks I played, but we're going to see if it ends up being the same here on HandNet. Get into a game and see how it goes. All right, I got a game. We are actually playing a normal 12Q, so that should be fun. And we are white. Okay, I said we're going to be playing 3-4 points. So I'm going to start off with this one. I don't really like to face my opponent whenever I can. So that's why I do like this opposing 3-4 thing, but I am going to do alternating 3-4 for the purpose of these first two videos. So it's the same opening each time. I'm pretty sure I did this every time. Oh, this is a very common mistake. The most important thing to keep in mind here is that the 3-3 point is your base. If you take this, your group is alive. If your opponent gets this, their group is alive. We need to make sure that we have a base and our opponent does not. We need to block the corner. Almost always with a shoulder hit in the corner area, you're blocking the corner. Here, I can get a nice Hane at the head of 2 stones, so I'm going to take that. Okay, they're Haneing underneath. We are going to block. Make sure they don't go into the corner. And now we do have a cutting point that we have to worry about. We can't capture this stone anymore. So I'm just going to protect this cutting point directly. We're going to do defense over being aggressive. Maybe we could try to extend and try to attack, but no need to do that. Interesting. They don't really need to keep playing like this. They should make a base right now. But this is a really nice shape for us. When you have the tiger's mouth, you can get this double tiger's mouth. This always feels really nice. Something I really like to do is I want to keep pushing to make sure that we're threatening the Hane head of 2, Hane head of 3, and then we can play away. In this case, I think it doesn't matter too much. I think we are settled here and we could play away right now. I think I want to stick to playing some basic shapes that I think are important to make sure you finish. If black is able to turn here, we will have to extend, so I want to push as well. We can do one more time, because still the Hane head of 3 stones, which should give us a double Hane. I'm going to push one more time. All right, now this shape is completely finished, and we can move on with another part of the game. And here, I like to either enclose our corner, because we have a 3-4 point that needs to be enclosed still, or approach the top side. We have a wall that needs an extension, so I'm going to start with approaching the top side instead of enclosing the corner. If we didn't have the wall, I might have enclosed instead. A very unusual move. So this is another time where we don't have a specific Joseki that we have to rely on here. One of the main sayings when someone plays the capping move is that you should play the knight's move in response to any capping move. That is what I'm going to do. This is the sort of proper shape you're supposed to play. Oh, we have to make sure they cannot push through our shape, so we will be blocking. We don't want to allow them to do Atari over the head of our stone here, so we'll extend. And I'm just going to extend again. That's the Hane head of 3 stone, well, 2 and 3 stones we want to keep extending for. If I can say it right, we should be good to go. And we want to also prevent the Hane head of 3 stones, so we're going to extend one more time. Okay, they're turning towards the center. They decide to turn the center here. This is not an important move. They should be playing moves that take points on the sides, on the corners, etc. So I got the move on the top side, and now I'm going to get my enclosure in the corner, which was the other big move I wanted to play earlier. Okay, they're playing another move in the center that is not important. So we need to assess the board a bit here. They do have a wall in the center, and they're even expanding that wall to some degree. We want to make sure they don't get an extension from that wall because they never took one for themselves. We're just going to be splitting the side here to prevent the extension. They're playing again over there, which is again not important. Why is it not important? Because if they Atari here, I just connect, there's no problems. I made this very, very strong on top. We have a very strong, solid shape. We don't really need to answer. So we have our move here. They could have pushed it around and gotten some profit from that. So we're just going to make our 2 space extension, and we're going to move away from the wall. You don't move towards the wall, you always move away from. Yep, I'm just going to connect here, and we're nice and solid and very strong. Okay, playing another move here in the center. They're not capping us, they're not doing anything special here, but I am going to slide into the corner. This is a very common follow-up. If you're close enough to the corner, sliding to get into the corner is just a very strong move to make sure you have enough base for your group. Make sure we're very strong. Yep, we don't want to get separated, so we're going to stay connected. Here again, we don't want them to push and cut or do anything to harm us. We are next to their strong wall. And so we can either connect or do a diagonal. I'm going to choose to do a diagonal here. I'm doing this so that if they don't respond, I have the follow-up of playing the knight's move. If I connect and they don't respond, the knight's move could maybe be cut in the future. This is the stronger way to play. It's still possible the other way. This is just the stronger, more connected way. They're just going to keep slowly building this middle of the board. I'm going to make a nice tiger's mouth shape here, which is always good to make. I'm just going to extend. We don't want them to Atari over. And extend again. We don't want the Hane head of 2 stones. Same with the Hane head of 3. We don't want that. Okay, I'm going to extend one more time. I said we don't want Hane head of 3 either. That's a very unusual move, doing a shoulder hit in a very unorthodox place. We already have access to the corner because we have this knight's move in the corner here. So instead of pushing up towards the center, we can push up towards the side to respond to this knight's move. We already have support on one side, so pushing up here is good. If we push up here and they extend, the next move is normally the knight's move. We already have that perfect shape built up. Now they're playing the shoulder hit. That makes a lot more sense. We're going to again respond with pushing. Make sure we are very strong. We are already very strong here. So we could decide to maybe jump or do things special. I'm going to push one more time. Make sure that we have more than enough liberties, and then I can jump. I believe the proverb is 1, 2, 3, and then jump. Okay, they are playing the Hane, which is an overplay. I can cut, and I can fight here. But the purpose of this series was not to do that sort of thing. We're going to see how we reduce this from a distance here. We're going to Hane here, let them extend. I'm going to push one more time, because if they turn, they could capture the stone. I want to prevent that. And now if they turn, they are not capturing anything. And so now we can move over to the left side of the board, where they did not respond to us. And so we can Hane over here to attack this stone that they didn't strengthen. We do have a cutting point, but it's not really a big deal. What we want to focus on now is trying to reduce as much as possible. Playing like this diagonal or playing a push to try to come out would be good. We just need to think about what would give us the least amount of cutting points. If we push, they Hane and we Hane, they can cut us directly. We do this diagonal and they turn, we connect, they Hane here, we Hane. If they cut, it is now a ladder towards the edge of the board, if I can think of the word. So that's the strongest way to play. And you should 100%, especially when you're in your opponent's area, double check any cutting points that you may or may not be making. And always think ahead of time in these sort of situations. So I'm going to do the diagonal here because we're focused on the reducing the center. Yep, we're going to connect solidly. Make sure that we don't have any problems on the left side. Then we're going to Hane, like I said. We don't have to worry about this cutting point because it is just a ladder to the side of the board. Double Hane makes a lot of sense by them. Usually with double Hane, you can just fix, and then they'll have to fix as well. I'm going to fix my cutting point, and they should respond in some way. They could probably extend. That's probably the better way. Okay, they can cut if they can Atari if they want to, but they're leaving a lot of cutting points. So we did let them get a very, very large center. We don't really have to worry about that, honestly. What we should be worrying about is just we're very solid everywhere. So what can we do to reduce or attack something at this point? In this case, we can probably do this diagonal here to cut off the corner. So I'm going to do that first. This is doing a lot of pressure, this corner here. And we're not trying to kill it, but if it dies, that is not my fault. Okay, this Atari would be really nice if we're able to push through the center here. So they should connect. Oh, they did not connect. But we're not going to try to do anything special here and capture and give up anything. We're just going to keep our stones connected because they still need to block. Okay, they decided to go back and live in the corner. And now we are able to break into the center. So we can capture, break in. But I think turning and pushing through their shape makes a lot more sense to me. If we capture, maybe they can block it in some way. If we turn here, it's really hard to block. And now we just need to focus on the center. Play diagonal. We're in the middle of their area. We do not want any stones that can be cut. They are jumping out here, which is probably good. This is the group on top that doesn't have that many liberties. So playing from that group makes a lot of sense. Because that group is the one that doesn't have that many liberties, I'm going to attach here. We're going to threaten to capture this group if we can. And because they are connecting, we will be able to play our tiger's mouth here and break into the center some more. We don't have to continuously go after the same group. We threaten it one time and we come out. We don't have to connect this because it gives us an empty triangle. I think there's not really a reason to not connect it. So let's just connect here. We're just focused on the reduction here in the center. I will block. I don't want them to play the Atari on my stones. And again, we're just focused on the center here to make sure this doesn't turn into anything big. We get this Atari right here. We get to capture. The group over here is in trouble again. Play any move over here probably is fine. I'll play the tiger's mouth. I want to be moving towards this middle as quickly as possible. This is Tengen, so I have to play Tengen. I don't have any other choice in the matter. But you probably could play away at that point. I'm going to extend because we don't want them to Atari over our group. They're playing this is a nice end game move. If you block, they can Atari and we're in a little bit of trouble. So when you see that you don't have too many liberties, you have this Hane at the head of two stones, a very important shape. You have to usually back off instead of blocking directly. Then we can block now. So we're capturing two stones instead of one. And now we can connect. Okay, playing another Hane here. This area is pretty big. So I will jump down. We don't need to play an empty triangle. We can play a little bit faster than that. This is also threatening to jump into their area. This feels good. And we don't need to respond again because none of our stones are getting threatened. So we can just play away. This is endgame now, kind of, because there are some really, really big spots still left. This left side of the board is really big for both sides. I really want to play it. We are very, very strong nearby, so we can probably play pretty deep, like this move here. So I'm going to do that. He's deciding to peep now. We just want to stay connected. Don't let him cut through. Attaching to our stone. Whenever someone attaches to you, usually you want to Hane. It looks like if we Hane and they cut, we can just capture the stone, so we should be fine. I had to double check the cutting point before I play the move for sure. We can probably push again if we really want to, or we can extend up. We have a lot of good options here. Either one should actually be fine, probably. So I think I will push one more time. Since either of them were fine, I can just play whatever one I want. We want to extend. We don't want to let them Atari. Okay, they finally responded up here, so we want to make sure we maintain our connection. We don't want them going in too deeply there. Stay connected, that's all we need to do. Something that they are doing that is incorrect here is they're focusing too much on areas that don't really matter. Like this middle area is not that many points in comparison to the corner, for example. That's a place where I could make points and my opponent could make points. So I get to take the corner, which means that instead of it being like a 5-point move, it's like a 10-point move. Or I didn't really count it there, just as an example. If my opponent could get something from it and I get something from it, it's usually good. We do have a little bit of a gap here. And so I do want to make sure that my stones are connected, make sure I don't have any problems. Something I pointed out in a previous video was when you have these two stones here and a kicking formation, they often have a way to take advantage of that. So I'm going to play one more stone here. We're just focused on the shapes. I'm not even reading if it works or if I need to. We're just focused on what is happening with the shapes. And it looks like all the side moves are basically gone. So we can probably just jump again in the center if we wanted to. Maybe Atari and try to do something, but we don't need to be fancy. I think I like the idea of this turn. This is kind of a fun move. Just Atari and then connect, and they have to connect again, and feels like it's annoying to handle. And then I'm just going to jump towards the center here. Now, I said that this top area was not important because it was only influencing points for one side. And that's why I played the corner. Something you might notice now is that there's not many shared areas anymore. So now that those areas are gone, we can then focus on this middle area again. Okay, decided to fix here. I don't want them to Hani over the head, so I will be extending. They do have this ko for a cutting point if they really want to, but it's kind of a difficult cut for them to do. So we'll see if they try. Usually if there's a ko for a cut, you can extend instead of having to connect the cut. Okay, that's probably a good move. Protecting their area here, making sure I can't use any of the Aji here, because I think I could probably cut in some way if I tried. I'm going to Hani on their stones, prevent them from Haning on mine. And then if I get to extend, I'm starting to actually make some points here. Yep, so just extend. And we'll extend again. Don't want Hani ahead of 2 or 3. We need to maintain our connection. Definitely just block here. We're trying to take the bottom side. So now we can go and look at some of these second line moves and first line moves. We don't really have too many second line moves left, so maybe just some Hanes on the first line. They look like they could work. This one should be Sente by Hane here. And connect. To be able to do the same thing on this bottom side. Yep. This move in the corner is pretty large. It could be a good idea to play this one. But also the center is a shared area for both sides. So we could try one move here to see if they respond. Since it's shared for both sides, we do want to play it. If they do respond, then we have already protected our area enough. And then we can go back to the corner in the upper. We already are very strong here. There's not too much left that they can do. So now we'll play this move here. It's a very big move, actually. Just block. We don't want to let them get into our area. Yep, just keep blocking. This is a really cool moment where if we play this Hane and they cut us off, we have a double Atari. So we can definitely play the Hane here. And now just connect. Make sure that we're staying connected and they don't have much that they can do on this left side. We probably don't even have to connect this stone, but I'm going to. It's only worth a couple points, and maybe something else is worth more. Like the Hane here on the left side, worth a little bit more. They didn't decide to respond properly, so we will get the Hane or extension. Might not matter too much, so I'll play the Hane. I'm going to play the Tiger's Mouth here, because if we just connect, then we have 3 in a row, and I want to have 4 in a row. If we have 4 in a row, we may not need to connect later, so I'm going to try that and see what happens. Yep, just connect here. The reason why 4 in a row is better is because if he Hanes here and we block, we have these 2 liberties, so they can't cut us, and like, it's not an Atari if they cut us, I should say. By 4 in a row, no matter where in the game, is often really, really good. Okay, I think that is a nice move. Maybe they have some sort of Hane thing that they can do something, so I'm just going to respond, make sure that I am strong here. I don't want to have to read anything here. We'll just fix that. Okay, they did not need to connect now. We can at least still push into their area a little bit, so we're going to do that. I'm going to make a bamboo joint here, if they let me. Nice little bamboo. They don't have to respond to this one, but there is some cutting Aji on this side as well. Probably is not too important. So I'm just going to poke at it to see what we can get. Cutting here is probably not going to get us anything because they can just connect the other side. Same for this cut here. We don't need to worry about it necessarily, but we can use the fact that they have multiple cuts to get like a move like this one, for example. Sadly, it doesn't give us any point, but we can get it because now we're exposing 3 cutting points instead of just 2. And 3 cutting points are much more difficult to handle. We can just focus on simple 1 or 2 point moves here now. I don't know exactly which one I want to play. We'll just play whatever. Play this Atari. I think we can play like a move here, taking away at least 1 point and threatening an Atari to take away more. This is actually a really bad shape for them. So I'm going to play here to see if they know the bad shape. They do need to play 1 more move locally. Okay, very good. Again, we're just going to be focused on 1 or 2 point moves. And we're basically done with this game. Any second now. Yep, just connect. Very good. There should be one more move in the center here they can play for free. Well, not for free. They can play as kind of a Sente. Yeah, Hane is good. We can just block, like I said before, we want 4 in a row, so that when we block here, we don't have to worry about this cut. And there was another move they could play in the center here. I'm going to cut here first, threatening this snapback. Because then I don't want to have to worry about getting rid of that as a point later. And then I'm going to connect here. I think that's one of the last moves. I'm pretty sure. Just look around. And maybe just some cleanup moves. Make sure there isn't really any odd. I'm pretty sure there's not, but play this one just to make sure everything's all good here. We can probably pass at this point. We'll see if they decide to do that or not. Okay, that is just a Dame. If they want to play Dame, I don't mind. So we can just fill those in if they really want to. There's just like 2 more of those on the board. Okay, they are cutting on the top. This doesn't quite work. It's a very common shape. You can just Atari straight to the side of the board here. I definitely have more liberties than they do. Okay, they passed. I will pass as well. And we should be done here. Mark our dead stones. We should be okay. All right, so I did win here. You can see that it says white won the game. It doesn't say I won by a certain amount of points or anything like that. And that's because our opponent decided to leave at the very end after they decided to press counting, or decided to go to counting. That's not very common on PandaNet. I think this is the first time it's ever happened to me. So most of the time this shouldn't happen. Now, if we go back 1 here, and then I press the score estimate, we should be able to see, I move this over, that I am leading by 35.5 points. Now, I do want to highlight that I was trying to allow them to get a very large center so that we could reduce it just a little bit on the outsides just to win by a couple points, but it did not end up happening that way. I wanted to try to demonstrate that, but because they let me come into the center, that was also okay. That is a very valid strategy as well. We threatened the corner. They worried about the corner, which allowed us to break into the center. This is one of the reasons why the center is not considered to be a very good place to invest all of your effort into, because it takes a lot of stones, because we have to play on all 4 sides, not just one side. Like at the corner, you only need to play on 2 sides in order to get the points in the corner. In the center, you need all 4 sides to be covered with your stones. So it's not very efficient. And if your opponent breaks in at all, you end up very far behind. You'll notice a lot of these games that I'm playing versus my normal series, the points are actually a lot closer. This is 35 points. I won a lot of my games in my regular series by like 60, 70 points, 80 points, 100 points, right? And that's because we're not really punishing our opponents here. The purpose of this series is not necessarily to show you the best way to win. It's to show you how to focus on your own groups. We're going to focus here. We're going to let our opponents do what they want. We're going to make sure we stay strong. And the consequence of that is often winning. As long as we're playing big moves and playing proper shapes, we'll usually have points. And if our opponent's not playing big moves and proper shapes, it's going to be harder for them to have points. But I want to say again, 'cause I think I mentioned this in this second video, this is not about winning. This is about highlighting these very basic shapes, these very basic moves that you should be playing. After you recognize all of these moves, then you can continue to try to punish or try to do other things if you really want to. But as long as you know how to properly defend yourself, you're good to go. If we go back a little bit earlier in this game, just to highlight this here, the turning point, right, was the fact that we were able to break into the middle here. If we weren't able to break into the middle, we would be able to at least push along the bottom side to reduce a little bit here. Maybe we'll be able to push a little bit in, but we let them get a very large middle. And we do have a very large amount of points on the side. After reducing this middle, we were ahead by 35 points. So if we don't reduce this middle, it's going to be a much closer game. There is one spot that I really wanted to highlight, so I just quickly went there. And it is the idea that if we were playing one of my more normal games and not with this focus on shape, and we wanted to punish our opponent, this would have been the right time to do so. When they play this Hane here, this is an overplay. If I cut this right now, they extend, we just go up. They have to now defend this left side. We can play over here. Now we're attacking this bottom side, still attacking. They need to jump away, still attacking. We jump here. We're still threatening to surround this group, so they should be defending this group. And in just a couple moves, we've made a group in the middle of their area that has a lot of I shape. Now they really need to kill me in order to win the game. Now there's other ways this could play out. I could try to be a little bit more aggressive. I could do a clamping move. I could do a lot of other types of things. And this is assuming they play reasonably. If I punish them here and really apply a lot of pressure to them, I probably win by a very large amount of points instead of just 30 to 40. This will be the next step after we've played at least a few games with this first principles in mind. I will add that on when we get maybe at least a couple more games in, I think. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys are having a good day. Have fun.